What's going on, guys? I know I'm away from my usual room. That's because I'm away right now, and unfortunately I got sick, so I'm not even sure if this video is going to make it out on time. I'm taking so much medication right now, and I'm still doing this for you guys. You all enjoyed the last video where I collaborated with a whole lot of creators to do the best fatality in every single Mortal Kombat game, and now I'm doing the worst fatality in every single Mortal Kombat game. So without further ado, let's hop into Mortal Kombat 1992. I think this one's a no-brainer. I'd say the worst fatality in Mortal Kombat 1 is Liu Kang. Technically, it's not even a fatality. He does a front flip, uppercuts you, and you don't even die. Or depending on what stage you're on, you could die, but most of the time, the opponent doesn't even die.
The worst finisher to me is Johnny Cage's. For Johnny's, just to have the head roll around, it clearly stands out as the worst one to me.
I'll just go with Johnny Cage's uppercut because it's pretty basic in comparison to the rest.
I'm kind of cheating on this one. It's a bit of a cop-out. I do have to give it to Liu Kang's bicycle kick. I do understand that it's supposed to be a finishing move, not a fatality. It's lumped with the fatalities, so I technically have to put it there.
It's gotta go to Kano. I know it's a classic, the heart rip. It's just kind of lame compared to the other ones.
In the first Mortal Kombat game, there really are no bad fatalities, unless we look at the home port. If you take the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive version of Mortal Kombat, you don't enter the blood code. Some of the fatalities can be kinda lame, especially Sub-Zero's. All he does is uppercut you. It almost doesn't deserve to be called a fatality.
Definitely Liu Kang's uppercut fatality. It wasn't even a real fatality because nobody died. It looks like a Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe fatality.
On to Mortal Kombat 2. Again, a no-brainer here. It is Liu Kang's fatality because they just copy and pasted the exact same one from the original Mortal Kombat game.
I believe Katana's fan slice finisher is the worst. We could have had a fan toss something, not just a head slice. It's really boring compared to the other close range ones.
MK2, bro, where Sub-Zero throws an ice ball at you and you just explode? What are we talking about?
Once again, for Mortal Kombat 2, I do have to give it to Liu Kang. I do appreciate it at least doing something a little newer where you actually get to see splashes of blood with this one.
Mortal Kombat 2 goes to Baraka. I mean, it's just a simple head decapitation, which feels a bit tame compared to all the other ones we see.
Mortal Kombat 2 is another one where all the fatalities are just so good, I can't really pick a bad one, unless I turn again to some obscure ports. This time, let's look at the Game Boy version. There's nothing really wrong with Katana's fan decapitation, unless you're the person losing your head. It doesn't really matter who she's fighting. They all end up looking the same for some reason. Must be a memory issue.
Mortal Kombat 2. Again, Liu Kang's uppercut fatality made a comeback, and it's still the worst fatality.
Mortal Kombat 3 to Mortal Kombat Trilogy. There's a lot of skeptical fatalities. I think Mortal Kombat Trilogy is the best, or one of the best Mortal Kombat games of all time. I think this is up for debate. We have Ermac and Smoke's uppercut fatality. It's just a copy and paste from other fatalities. I think Midway ran out of ideas, but easily the worst fatality from Mortal Kombat 3 to Trilogy is Sub-Zero's fatality. The screen literally goes black. You don't see the fatality at all, so I have no idea why Midway decided that was a great fatality. They might as well have given Sub-Zero the uppercut fatality.
It is Sub-Zero, and it's the one where he spawns an icicle on the ground. I would have preferred the opponent to land a lot more like this. It just would have been more brutal. At the time, the games were seen as pretty brutal, so I think it would have been better in all ways.
Rain's uppercut in MK3 is brutal and not in a good way. Uppercutting you piece by piece, flipping you upside down, and you get formed back together. Get out of here with that nonsense.
Moving on to Mortal Kombat Trilogy, the absolute worst fatality in this one goes to classic Sub-Zero's censored head rip. Like, what happened? What did you do? What happened? Like, how did you screw it up so bad? Why did you cut it to black? It's so stupid. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
Funny enough, I chose Motaro as the worst fatality. All he does is take your head off. Like, that's it?
There's really no single worst fatality here. There's a bunch of them. I mean, when someone dies, they get like a million heads, a million arms, a million legs. I don't know what's up with that. It's a common theme in a lot of fatalities, and it don't make no sense.
I would have to say Sub-Zero's fatality, where he grabs you by the face and then the screen goes black. It's gotta be the worst fatality in Mortal Kombat history.
Mortal Kombat 4 follows the same pattern, but I'm gonna go with Gore. It's a copy and paste of Johnny Cage's fatality. I don't understand why Midway went that route. I guess that was just the default route of an uppercut fatality when they ran out of ideas.
I believe the worst one is Goro's plasma punch finisher. Both of his are copies of Johnny Cage's. Different strokes for different folks, but the plasma punch from Goro is just really lame.
Reiko drop kicking you with maximum force and your head just spins in the air? That's too goofy for me, man.
The worst fatality in Mortal Kombat 4 goes to Quan Chi's second fatality. I've talked about this before, but this one's stupid as the second one is literally just him stealing the opponent's fatality.
And the same thing kind it goes to Mortal Kombat 4 for Goro. My brother is a four-armed half dragon, and that's what he's got for a fatality.
Here, I think the worst fatality probably belongs to Kai. I mean, here's a guy who can levitate, apparently, but he doesn't do it at all during the match. What is going on here?
I would have to say definitely Jarek's fatality because that belongs to Kano. Come on, laziness.
On to Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, and I hate to say this because this is actually my favorite fatality, but it's also one of the worst fatalities of the game, and that is Quan Chi. Honestly, I hope that they bring it back in a future Mortal Kombat game because it'll be hilarious, but I can also see why a lot of people hated it. It's just a stupid fatality.
I'm gonna have to go with Draman's fatality as the worst one in the entire game. You would think the swarm of flies would get involved in the slightest bit, but no, he just kind of bashes you on the head.
It's not even that I hate Kitana's Kiss of Death, it's the animation, bro. The opponent becoming an inflatable, it is so out of pocket.
The worst fatality in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance has to go to Lee Mays. I would say it's because it's trying to do something cool, but it's not. It's just a kick to the gut, and then they just kind of freeze there for a little bit. It's almost like Lee May forgot what she was supposed to do next and goes, screw it, I'll just kick him in the head and just kill him.
The worst one in Deadly Alliance has got to go to Lee May. She kicks you in the stomach and then kicks you in the head. It's not great.
Now, I'm pretty sure that you guys are going to be saying the same thing that I'm saying, which is that the worst fatality is Quan Chi, and I don't think it's even that much of a stretch.
I think the worst fatality in this game is Johnny's brain rip fatality. It just lacked creativity and it didn't really fit Johnny Cage, in my opinion.
Mortal Kombat Deception is a little bit tough. I would give it to Cobra, but honestly, I'm gonna have to give it to Night. I think both the Nightwolf's fatalities are pretty lame compared to the other ones in the game. Pretty much all he does is throw an axe at your head, and that's about it. It's quick, it's not creative, and it's pretty lame compared to the other one.
I think the worst finisher is when Kenshi uses telekinesis to stretch out the opponent, but for some reason, Kenshi's stretch version in this game is just taken very lightly. It doesn't take it any farther, or at least make it even more goofy. It's kind of just worse in every way.
Spinning uncontrollably after Cabal kicks you, and then he just gently, very nicely holds his hook sword out, and he just takes you apart piece by piece. That one makes absolutely no sense.
The worst fatality in Mortal Kombat Deception goes to one of the worst characters in the series, Cobra. It's very redundant, something we've already seen literally a title prior, but it's just much worse, and very fitting for Cobra because he's a terrible character, and this is a terrible fatality.
Deception, when Cobra, all he does is a knee decapitation. Everyone else is doing some really cool stuff, and you're just hitting them in the face with your knee. Okay.
But if I had to pick one to say it's the worst, it's gotta be Havoc's leg rip fatality. Not that there's anything wrong with it per se, that's Quan Chi's fatality, and I'm not a big fan of taking the fatalities and shuffling them around between different combatants.
I think Cobra had the worst fatality. Rips your heart out, puts it on your face. Nothing special about this fatality. Nothing special about Cobra.
I think the worst fatality is Liu Kang's, where he does the front flip into an uppercut.
Now, if we want to talk about something out of pocket, Kung Lao beating your ass with the bunny is out of this world, man. What the hell was NRS thinking?
The worst fatality from Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks goes to Baraka from the multiplayer. It's just very lacking, and I feel like the other ones were remade so well.
So when Liu Kang, fires up and then comes up to you and just head claps you, I expected a lot more from that, fire buildup, and then I just get head clapped.
So I had to think about this one kind of hard, but if I had to guess, I'd say Kung Lao's got the worst fatality. If Kung Lao has the strength to take a man's head off with his bare hands, what does he need a razor sharp hat for?
I feel like I'm picking on Johnny Cage, but his decapitation fatality was not even close to Liu Kang's Shaolin soccer fatality.
Mortal Kombat Armageddon. The creative fatality system was terrible. It might have been a memory issue for the game. It was just so large that they probably could have fit 2 fatalities or 1 fatality for each character. But for stage fatalities, I'd probably have to give it to the lava stage fatality.
I do think Melina's finisher is the worst, and that sucks to say because I love Melina as a character. I mean, it's just way too proper. It feels like this exact animation should be on Kitana. It doesn't fit Melina's archetype at all.
Armageddon stage fatalities honestly weren't even that bad in my opinion, so I'll just go with the most basic one, which was the pool of lava.
The worst fatality in Mortal Kombat Armageddon is all of them. It is a great idea that was executed poorly, and if you thought that having one character with a bad fatality. Imagine everyone having the same fatality.
I think the worst one is where they punch you and all you do is you just fly up 10 feet and then fall onto a spear.
The creative fatality system was the worst. But if there's one stage fatality that I had to call the worst one's gotta be the portal. When you see someone getting sucked into a portal, you actually want them to end up in another dimension or something. You don't want to see them die before they even get there.
This game had the best cinematic intro probably of all time. I love this intro so much, but man, the fatalities in this game suck so bad. I hated the creative fatality system. All the fatalities were terrible.
Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, I don't even think this is a debate. I'm genuinely gonna be shocked if other creators say differently here, but it's easily and obviously Kano's fatality. It's up for debate as the worst fatality of all time.
The worst fatality in my eyes is Shang Tsung's second one. It would have been very cool to see Shang have a finisher where he steals the opponent's soul and then uses superpowers while morphed into the opponent.
It's clear as day that NRS has an obsession with inflatables for Katana's kiss, man. How does that even get past the editing room?
The worst one from Mortal Kombat versus DC goes to Kano quite easily. What did they do to Kano in this game? Like, God, this is so bad. This is like one of the worst fatalities in the entire game.
The worst one in MK vs DC is Kano. You have a laser eye. You have knives and weapons and you roll and jump on them?
But the worst fatality in Mortal Kombat vs. DC, I'm gonna say is Sonya. I mean, she does some cool acrobatics in the beginning of the move, but then all she does is a neck snap.
Kano's ribcage crusher fatality is terrible. It seems more like a special move than a fatality.
All right, guys, quick pause before we get to Mortal Kombat 9. I'm adding in, well, that was terrible. I'm adding in channel memberships right now. So my channel is 99. Oh my God. Okay, well, I just totally ruined that video, so I'm gonna take it from here. I started up channel memberships. It is 99 cents a month. It comes with custom emojis, custom badges, member-only posts. And also, if you join, I'm going to start doing giveaways. So I'll do a whole bunch of giveaways like old Mortal Kombat games, Mortal Kombat Funko Pops, DLCs, you name it. So I'm going to do a giveaway. It's kind of like the subathon in a way. So like if we get to a certain amount of members, I'll do a giveaway. So let's go ahead, join, hit the join button. And I totally messed up this whole video, but back to the fatalities. Mortal Kombat 9. This game had a lot of great fatalities. A lot of the characters had over-the-top cinematic fatalities. Shades just seem pretty tame compared to all the other ones.
The worst fatality is Reptile's tongue rip finisher. There's this really long idle animation where he just stares you down like this for like 3 seconds. It's a little goofy.
Shiva ripping off your arms and then using them to applaud is pretty damn funny, I won't lie. But of course, it's more of a comical fatality, so I gotta go with that one.
I would say, unfortunately, the weakest one does go to Sonya Blade. It's cool in execution, but in terms of like compared to what it's going up against, this really doesn't shine that well.
I'm sorry to go to Kano again for Mortal Kombat 9, but all he does is his classic heart rip fatality. I get it's a classic, but this time he does it from the back. I guess you could say he hit it from the back.
Well, it's a really hard game to pick a bad fatality for. Probably gotta be Shang Tsung's Clown Morph. I mean, this is really not a Mortal Kombat fatality. It's a reference to Joker's move in MK vs. DC universe. And
Sonya's cutthroat fatality is boring, and I think it's the worst fatality in Mortal Kombat 9. Not a big fan.
Mortal Kombat X. I don't even think this is a question or up for debate. The worst one has to be Predator's fatality. Honestly, both of Predator's fatalities suck in Mortal Kombat. His was just really slow, it was boring, and they could have taken it above and beyond. I think NRS really dropped the ball with Predator's fatalities.
In MKX, I think the worst finisher is Baraicho's when he doesn't light the booze on fire, because he has booze in both of them. You see, to me, I just see that first one, and I think all of this fighting could have been avoided if he just offered me some cold ones before the match started. He's just not one of the boys, man. At least offer me some before the set starts.
NRS, you gave us Jason Voorhees as a guest character, and the best you could come up with is him picking up the opponent, slamming them around, and their limbs fall off piece by piece. Brother, where is the creativity?
Sadly, the worst one goes to Jax's daughter, Jackie. This one, it seems like it could have been cool, but it's just awkwardly paced, and it also seems like something anyone could do. So many people could have done something like that. I mean, it doesn't really feel that unique. It felt like they just ran out of time and just went, all right, screw it, let's just submit it to Ed Boon.
I didn't even need to watch all the fatalities from Mortal Kombat X to know the worst one. It goes to Kotal Khan without a doubt. But to just squeeze you like a tube of toothpaste, that's it for the Aztec god? Oh, it's just not good, dude.
but if I had to pick just one and say it's the worst, probably gotta be Farah Torres. I mean, in this fatality, it looks like it hurts Farah just as much as it hurts the other guy.
Mortal Kombat X had some of the best fatalities in Mortal Kombat. I think Jackie Briggs had one of the worst fatalities in the game. Her fist pump or fist something, whatever it's called, fatality, it just lacked creativity. Wasn't a big fan of this fatality or the character.
Mortal Kombat 11. This and Mortal Kombat 1 have amazing fatalities, so it's really hard to pick. But I'm probably gonna have to go with Scarlet's fatality. There's just a lot of focus on the heart, and there's really no other reaction we see of the character. There's no other close-up shots. It's just simply on the heart. It just doesn't seem like it holds up compared to the other ones.
Oh, my MK11 ranking still pisses me off to this day. It's the worst one by far. It's the Jackie Briggs finisher where she trick shots the grenade over her head, and then at the end the wall comes up and splits my body in half. If you were a Jackie player from 2019 to 2023 feeling smug, feeling good in Combat League, doing that after every single win, you're carried. You're carried. You're carried. Nerf Jackie Briggs. I don't care if the game's old, you're carried. Yeah, that's the only entry on the list that was ruined for me by the players themselves, not the animation. But it is the worst in MK11.
MK11 has some of the best fatalities of all time, no joke. But I gotta go with Johnny Cage's puppet fatality because it's just too damn cheesy, man.
God, this one's so hard because I love a lot of the fatalities in Mortal Kombat 11, but if I have to be honest here, the worst one in this game, by default, goes to Kano's face like a dropped pie fatality. It's a little weak compared to a lot of the great ones we have in this game. I just wish they did something better with Kano.
I don't know, man. Kano just seems to have some really lame fatalities, in my opinion. Because in Mortal Kombat 11, he's my pick again. He doesn't really have a lot going on. He just headbutts you to death. I guess I just don't like Kano that much.
For Mortal Kombat 11, I'm gonna have to go with another Sonya fatality. And to be honest, Sonya should be able to kill you with her bare hands or feet. She shouldn't need a weapon to do it.
Jackie, just kidding. Jackie had some great fatalities in Mortal Kombat 11. I think the worst fatality in Mortal Kombat 11 belongs to Cassie. Cassie's nut kick fatality makes no sense. How can a kick to the nuts do that much damage?
Finally, we got to Mortal Kombat 1. Again, this is a really hard choice. They just keep upping the bar when it comes to their fatalities. I'll start with something easy with the cameo fatality, can say Janet Cage, because it's the classic uppercut. Nowadays, there's been so many unique and creative fatalities. The uppercut one doesn't really hold up as it used to. With the main character in Mortal Kombat 1, it's a little bit difficult, but I'd probably pick Shao Kahn's fatality where he does the spin. I think it's called spin cycle. To me, that doesn't really seem like a Shao Kahn fatality. It would seem something like what Cabal would probably do. And I think it was just a little bit goofy overall.
But the worst one to me is Baraka's finisher. To me, it's just a big letdown. It's just very tame for a character that's essentially just an infected brute, you know? It should never look tame.
Real talk, man. I don't think there's a single bad fatality in MK1, but I'm just gonna choose Kung Lao when he throws his hat and it does all the work for him. How many times are we gonna watch that hat just split somebody in half? It's super generic, man. You know, on that same note as well, man, we have Kung Lao as a cameo this time, slicing the opponent in half still. It's just the same thing on repeat, man.
Looking at the main roster, the worst MK1 fatality in this game, I think goes to Kung Lao's Loud and Clear, because it's the same hat shtick he's been doing for a while. Like throwing the hat, boomerang, boomerang, and then cut the legs, cut the head, split them in half. I just wish they went with like a new, innovative approach for this one.
And this one was very hard to pick, but I had to choose Barak. Like, it's not absolutely terrible, but it's definitely the worst of the bunch. And for the cameo fatality, that goes to Shijinka. Like, it's cool in concept. I wanted him to turn into the opponent, maybe, I don't know, I just wanted more from him, and his just was not it.
Now, if I had to pick just one fatality and say it's the absolute worst, probably the Thanksgiving one. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me that they're gonna bring out an entire table full of food just to kill you. I mean, what's the point of that? Why not just kill you?
It was hard to find a bad one, to be honest, but I would have to go with Havoc's heart fatality. It's alright. It's not a bad fatality, but it's just not as great as the other ones. I expected more from such a badass character. Worst cameo fatality has to go to Janet Cage. It's just a boring fatality. Not a fan of the fatality or the character.
I want to hear in the comment section below which fatality do you think is the worst of all time and the worst in each game.
Hey guys, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Uncanny Carlos.
So huge shout out to the Island Boys for having me on to discuss the worst Mortal Kombat fatalities. You can find me on my channel. You can also find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky at the same username, Padmock99.
One step over on YouTube or link below. Thank you for watching, and a massive thank you to Dibs for putting all of this together. You should be subscribing to all of these amazing creators and stay tuned for more.
Thank you again for including me on in this video too. Love working with you and I'm looking forward to doing it again. My name is Knick-Knack Paddywhack. I do Mortal Kombat and fighting game rankings based off costumes, finishers, and supers. If you'd like to follow me at Knick-Knack Paddywhack on YouTube, the NNPW on Twitter and Instagram. Love to chat with you soon, and once again, thank you for including me on this video.
Make sure you check out my MK content here on YouTube and over on TikTok at Diz_NH. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
I post an assortment of Mortal Kombat videos on my YouTube. It's at Diff. And I guess if you enjoy shitposts, my Twitter is at DiffFGC. Thanks for having me.